Pops and The Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and The Rican. Pops and The Rican. What's the Pops and The Rican?
Look at the top of his head. Look at this.
Pops and The Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
What's good, man?
Pops and The Rican.
Pops and The Rican. Here we are. Looks like I'm getting we're having just a slight little hiccup here, which is pretty typical, of course.
You know.
Give me a second here while I'm getting this set up. Sorry about this.
Well, you know, I think if we do that, we can see us both.
Yeah.
And, because you know, I know not everybody's interested in seeing both of us
At the same time, right? Exactly. But here we are, right?
But I know that I know my mom's probably not watching, and so the fact that she's not watching, I wanted to make sure people could see me.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any difference or not, but
Well, they can see you. They can hear me. It's all good. No worries,
Well,
man. How you doing today?
you know, actually, it's been a pretty good day. I got some stuff done, and now I'm looking at a screen where you're doing the Max Headroom.
I'm doing
thing.
the Max Headroom thing. Yeah, don't worry about me.
I
It's
haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in years.
It's a new thing, bro. It's what's in right now.
Actually, I'm just feeling pretty good because I remembered Max Headroom.
Dude, you brought that back, bro. That's
And at my age, I'm lucky to remember the name Max, let alone Max Headroom. So
right, exactly.
No,
It's all
actually,
good, man.
you know, we had a great weekend this past weekend, and we finally got to reopen the club, and that's to me that was half the battle was just getting permission for us to reopen the club,
Right.
And then now it's a situation where you know, we had two great shows this last weekend, and this next weekend is just you know, I'm ready for. I wish we could get to that right now because we've got the Gumbo Variety Show.
Yep.
And with Gas Man, that's gonna be a popping show.
Yep.
And Larry George is geared up and geeked up, ready to bring some of the funny. So yeah, it's gonna be a great show.
That's gonna be fun. Yep.
So I'm excited about all that. So
yeah, man, me too. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the fact that we've also been able to connect with everybody successfully with our app, man. You can download our mobile app too as well. Go to the Play Store and the App Store. You can download our mobile app. Also, you can follow us on Gutties TV on YouTube. Just go ahead and like and subscribe, comment too as well, and make sure that you get on top of that as well. But we're excited, man. A lot of great things happening now, bro, and I'm pretty stoked about what's coming up, bro. I'm so glad that we're able to open up again, man. That has been a huge blessing, bro.
yeah, well, and you know, as we look at getting the club back open, we still have some great guests here for the Pops and the Rican show, and you add those two things together, and I don't know how it can get any better. Well, actually, I take that back. I have one way that would make it better, I think, would be if we could actually work something out, and I don't know if we can because I know the guy. He probably wants $1 million a show, and we can't do that. But our guest tonight is one of my favorite guys out there. He's been in the comedy game a long time, longer than I have, and still just packing the houses full with his shows. And it would be phenomenal if we could get him to roll through and do a weekend at Gutties.
Yes.
Or if nothing else, we could get him to roll through and do a weekend. We may have to get a bigger venue because people come out to see this guy all over the place. They just love him, and I know why, because he's hilarious and he speaks truth from word one and doesn't parse words. And so I'm thrilled that we have him as a guest tonight here on the Pops.
Yes, sir.
Show.
Yep.
Are you ready to bring him in?
I'm ready, man. Are you ready?
let's do this thing.
Let's
so
do this, man.
let me welcome to the show guy that I call friend, whether he calls me that or not. He probably doesn't even remember who I am because he's so popular. He is just huge. But let's welcome to the Pops and The Rican show, Brad Stine.
Hey, what's going on, Brad? How you doing, man?
I was waiting. I was excited to see who the guest was, and it ends up being me. So you were hyping this guy up. I said, "Who's this going to be? I can't wait!" And it's me. So, frankly, I'm disappointed, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. I don't even know now it's me.
Well,
oh man,
I knew if we built you up at least half as much as people who are your fans would want us to. It might take even longer, so I cut it short.
Well, that's very kind, and I'm honored to be a guest on your show. Obviously, it's cool that you guys took a risk and said, "I'll bet you clean comedy would work, and people would support it, and there's got to be an audience for that." And so, I more power to any entrepreneur that rolls the dice and says, "Man, I believe in this, but now I'm going to put my money where my mouth is." So I'm glad it's paying off for you, even though the Corona crazy has put the brakes on a lot of these things. But I'm glad you're up and running, and hopefully it'll just take off from where it got disrupted a bit, and you're back in the game.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. It has been a journey, that's for sure. It's been a journey, but we're excited about what's happening, and we're also excited to be able to connect, especially with someone like yourself too as well, because this is exactly what we wanted to bring. We want to be able to bring both worlds together, because it was just a vision of mine to be able to say, you know what, I have a lot of great friends that aren't saved, they're not Christian, they're not going through, but they want to do comedy. And they want to expand their chops both in clean as well. And then I got comics that, comedians that do nothing but clean, and they need a place to be able to expand and be able to work out their material as well. And I was like, why not create a place where we can create an environment where there's just equality there, just so that way they can come in and share their gifts of comedy in a place where that's it's pretty much I wouldn't say controlled, but more or less giving you that spot to be creative. Yeah, like because it is a challenge, and we've been meeting a lot of people in this game where the challenge is to be able to write clean and creative. And so I'm just glad to be able to connect with you, because you were one of the first ones when I first jumped on the whole comedy scene that I was following too as well. And just because of the fact I'm a man of faith as well, and just be able to see someone else who is a Christian and doing comedy as well was just encouraging. So I wanted to thank you for that, because it gave me that encouragement to just go ahead, and that boldness too, because you were at the time you straight were like spearheading everything, especially for what you stand for. So I just I admire it.
I mean, I'm getting to that age where everybody I meet's like, I remember when my parents first used to introduce me to. I mean, of course I had to go to bed at 4 p.m. first, and I was still in diapers. But I'm getting to that age where I'm like, what happened? Yes, hadn't been reached puberty yet, but still, I'd like to watch. And so, but I will say that it's always humbling and honoring when I do hear folks that said, you helped me, kind of inspired me, or at least showed me there's other ways to do this that doesn't have to compromise technique, doesn't have to compromise intelligence, doesn't have to compromise creative writing or energy or sarcasm or satire or all the tools that stand-up comedy utilize in nightclubs. And suddenly, hey man, and yet you can be a Christian, so you don't need to use the curse words. And of course, there's people been out there for years that were clean and aren't necessarily Christian, but that happened to be the reason I wasn't using that language, is because of my faith. It just wasn't part of my day-to-day nomenclature anyway. So it's
right.
I can throw that in. But if I've heard any interview, and I've had a million, over the years. But if there's one theme that has cropped up every couple of years or whatever over the years, when somebody would contact me, it's like it would be like, why aren't clean comedians or Christian comedians or conservative comedians, funny, or why aren't they having their own TV shows? And of course, I'm like, well, I mean, I must have got something right because I bought and sold 3 homes. Got a couple kids through school, all as a professional comedian. So if I'm not funny, I'm the greatest fraud in human history.
You're a great actor.
Yeah, how did I pull that off? But the one thing that was always funny to me was there would always be sort of this question that would be something to the effect of, man, wasn't it hard to be clean? Wasn't it really difficult to be clean? Like they felt sorry for me, like I was a little, like a puppy that they had to rescue from the pound. It's like, oh, did you have to be clean? That must have sucked. And I'd always say the same thing. Yeah, it was harder. And any stand-up comic, no, it's harder to write clean than dirty. That's not hard to fathom. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But what I would always say to them, but here's the difference. I feel like you're asking that question as though I had a handicap, like there was something that unfortunately I had to have an arm tied behind my back. And I never saw it that way. To me, it was like, no, the fun of performance arts, whether you're a musician that writes songs, whether you're a comedian that writes routines, whether you're a stage or a playwright or whatever you are, where you're creating something from whole cloth and creating a narrative and a story and an idea. To me, the whole enjoyment of it is the creative process. How can I figure something out? And it is a puzzle. How do I figure out how to make something funny that I observed, that I thought was kind of humorous, and turn it into something that a stranger might relate to? And even I remember reading years ago, even Jerry Seinfeld, when he was asked about why he was clean, and he pretty much is. I mean, he uses a curse word now and again, but pretty clean.
Yeah.
But I just remember the phrase was real simple. He said, I thought it made for a more interesting game. And I think that's a good summary, because to me, by not having access to the F word or the sex jokes or just the obvious thing that's all you see in comedy anymore, that made an interesting game. It's like, okay, I don't get to say F this, and I don't get to say, whatever this, and I don't get to talk about sex over here. So how do I compete against all these guys that do? Because that is those are powerful words. They at one point was bordering on taboo. That's gone. Nobody cares anymore. It's used in common parlance now, the F word. But at a time that was still kind of like, ooh, he really pushed the envelope. And but I always felt like he was cheating, because it's kind of like, here's the problem. Anybody can use that word. Anybody.
Right.
But not everybody can create a routine about bread.
Right.
It's like if I can say, yeah, so I was having sex with my girlfriend, and isn't that hysterical? It's like, okay, you're taking basically a hackneyed premise that has been used to death, getting some laughs because it's a little uncomfortable. I said, but if I can make you laugh about, isn't toast odd? If I can laugh about, why do we shake hands? That to me was the fun. I found funny where you never saw it before. And that is to me the fun of an artist. I did something that I'm proud of. And I think if there's a single best compliment that a comedian can give another compliment, because if you're a comedian, you see things in a funny way. That's your natural wiring of your brain. So if I go into, a shoe store, probably the things that I find funny, you guys are going to find funny because you're comedians. You might find another nuance, or you might see a little something different. But we're going to, some of the things are going to kind of stand out. Oh, right. That's a comedy thing right there. But once in a while, you'll kind of find a little angle that really stands for itself. And a comedian will say, oh, Why didn't I think of that?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
The ultimate compliment, because you found funny that everybody was mining in the same gold mine, but
Yep.
you found a vein that was right here that nobody else tapped into. So that's always been the fun of it, because, if I was to, I've got 6 albums of material now, but if I was going to go through all of it and say, what are you really proudest of? And I've never done this, so I'm not going to try, but I'm just saying, if I did,
Yeah.
I would say there'd only be a couple things that I really feel good. And it wouldn't be stuff that got a good laugh, because I'd feel like, yeah, that was funny, but I don't think it was that unique. But it would be the couple things that I feel like really other comics are going, oh man, wow, where did you find that? That makes you feel good as a comic.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing, is because when you get to that place where everyone can relate to exactly, especially with comics, because man, that's universal. That joke is gonna hit everybody, because every single one of us is looking at it and going, you said it exactly. that point, exactly that point of view, that topic, that angle is gonna hit every single person in the room, and you can kind of feel like. You can see that, you can hear it, especially when you're writing and you're like, oh, this is something that can really hit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily predicting or saying, oh, this is going to hit. And, because sometimes you got like 5-10 minutes, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then of course it's horrible. But sometimes there's a few things where, this can definitely hit. And so that's definitely a huge point.
I think that, one of the, because people, stand-up comedy appears to be, and because most people that are in the arts have known other artists in other genres. So I've known lots of musicians, I've known actors, right? All the different types of it. To a man, no performance art is more intimidating and frightening to all the artists than stand-up comedy. You can take an amazing, gifted Eddie Van Halen or something, and we're sitting there just going, man, I can't even imagine. And he'd say, that's just guitar, but man, how do you stand up and tell? They just can't fathom a person.
That's so true, man. That is true.
And so it really takes on. I guess it's because it's probably the most dangerous of the performing arts. Number one, because it's the only art form I've ever seen that you have to rehearse in front of the audience. Because it's the only way you learn if your joke's going to work. When you're working out new material, you have to do it in front of a crowd to see, is this working? Is it not working? Like you said, I think this is funny, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe now, that's why so few people can do comedy, because there's lots of funny people in the world. Very few of them can take that into stand-up. Because somebody said, my friends say I'm really funny, and so I should be stand-up, but they don't do it. And I said, well, yeah, and I'll bet you are. But here's the problem. Your friends know you. They trust you. They like you. They understand who you are. So when you say funny things, they expect it. They're used to it. They know your rhythms. They know your nuance. They've accepted you into their world. So when you say the funny thing, they like it. They expect it. That's great. It's real. It's legit. The problem with stand-up is you have to take that, get up on stage, and now do that same thing to strangers who don't know you, who have no idea if you're funny, who have no skin in the game. I don't have to like it. I feel like it. I could just decide you suck, and that's the end of that.
That's true.
No decorum in stand-up that demands the audience be respectful. In fact, it's the opposite. I don't hear anyone heckling opera singers.
They should.
Opera. But so, it even opens up that odd formula that says the audience member is allowed to almost try to, mock or ridicule or speak out. Who came up with that idea? I don't know. Probably vaudeville. I don't know. But anyways, so there's so much at stake. And if I'm in a band, and I've played music a little bit over the years. I was in praise and worship band. I was a guitar. I'm not great at it, but I could get by.
Okay.
So I never played professionally like the high end guys. But here's the deal: if you're in a band and you're the bass player and you're kind of just had a bad night or had a fight with your wife or whatever, but you got to go do your gig, you can lay back. Yeah, I'm just gonna lay back. I gotta get in the groove. I gotta do my thing, but let the front man do whatever. I don't have to be anything. The music will all blend, and it will work, and people will enjoy it. Stand-up comedian, if he's having a bad day, if he's not in the mood to do it, or most important, if it's not for whatever reason it's not working, and doing your thing, and the audience doesn't like it, you know where to hide. There's nowhere to go.
That's true.
I don't get to go behind the amp and screw around and just say this sucks. I can't wait till it's over. I don't get to play around with the lead and let him try to take the energy and take it. I don't got a guitar to play. Okay, they don't think I'm funny, but boy, I can do this and that. They'll like that. I don't have a magic trick. I can't juggle anything. I got my my mind, my mic, and that's it, and my mouth. So if you said you're hired for 45 minutes and 4 minutes in they hate you, you got 40 minutes.
Yes.
To sit there and have people say we are miserable and we're going to let you in on it. So and there is, and by the way, if you haven't figured this out by now, I don't care how many years you've been in this business, and I don't care how many gigs you've done, and I don't care how good you are, and I don't care how much material you have, and I don't care how much experience you have, and I don't care how often you've been in so many different nuanced scenarios that maybe I would just here and I'll try this and I'll try that, and you got all this material. I don't care. You're still someday, somewhere, going to have a bad show. It will never, ever go away. And that tightrope that I've done this a million times, I know exactly how to do it, but if I slip, take it for granted, figure I got this down, there's no net, it's going to hurt. And that tightrope is why 99.9% of human beings do not have the cojones to do what we do for a living.
Come on.
They will not put themselves in that place.
Right. Yeah.
That's the truth right there.
That's it's interesting when you realize that no matter who you are and how many years you've been at the game, it's still going to happen. And to some, that may be horrifying news.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that should be great encouragement to anybody that's getting started in the game to realize, hey, as long as I keep pushing forward and I keep working on the craft, I keep writing and editing and honing everything into the best routine that I can come up with, I have a chance of surviving those times when you have just that hell gig where it just goes off the rail and you can't do anything about it. You're going to survive because you're going to go back to the next show. They're going to love everything you do.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you could say bread, and they're going to bust out laughing. Yeah. You don't even get to toast.
You will also get, it's a good point. You'll also get those rare shows now and again where you are the funniest human being they have ever heard in their life, and you literally sit there going, "I wish I was this good."
Right. All the time. Right.
Crazy. But those are your little rewards, your little tidbits you get thrown down again for those bad shows. But I will say this, though, too, if you said that some people that are just trying to get into the game watch your show. So I would say this to encourage them. I think that the fact that there's always a bombing show or a bad show sneaking its head around the corner, trying to find that moment to come in and remind you you're human. I really think that's what makes comedy great, frankly, because it doesn't allow you to rest on your laurels, and it doesn't allow you to take the audience for granted. You can't, because, man, if this goes south, I don't want to go through this. But the biggest problem with the new comic who's trying to figure this out is if you've done it and you have a body of work and you're professional at it and you know what you're doing, if you go to write a joke or you want to try a joke, um, like you said, Steve, earlier, sometimes when you first started, you thought you were funny, but you hadn't quite figured it out yet. So you still didn't learn out, how do I do this on stage? How do I handle a mic? How do I handle an audience? There's so much more going that you don't realize until you start, that you have to be able to manage, because you are an orchestra leader. You have all the audience is in symphony, and there's the oboes, and there's the tuba, and that guy over there is the kettle drum, and that's a violin. And I got to make them all sound cohesive. I got to make them all laugh at the same thing, and all, even though they come from different backgrounds, have different things. So when you're starting, you don't have enough experience to know, did they not laugh because I suck, or did they not laugh because I didn't figure this joke out yet? And so you keep coming back and experiment. Now, as you get better and as you get more seasoned, and as you have a body of material you can count on that virtually always gives you a laugh, so you can always use that if you're working out new material and it's not working. Well, I'll just jump over to hear this and I'll get them back because I know they'll like this or like that. But as you get more seasoned, you're much quicker and much more accurate about writing something, going, yeah, that'll work. Or you can go back on old material that you wrote down that you've abandoned and look at it now and go, oh, I know how to do that now. Because now you have some more seasoned, comedy and open mics. That's boot camp, man. You're learning the thing, but getting up and trying to do it is the war, where they're shooting at you, and you got to figure this out on the fly, and you got to do it.
Right.
It makes it good. It makes it work. It makes it fun. It weeds out the people that can't handle that potential issue of eating it in front of strangers. But so hang in there. And especially if you're just starting, just worry about 3 minutes. Just worry about just a couple things that they laugh at, that you can feel like, okay, I guess I can do this. I got a long way to go. I got a lot more to write, but I got 3 minutes that they laugh at. Okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Look, George Carlin used to say he wanted to write 2 minutes a week, and that was his goal. Now, George Carlin had the advantage of being able to work as many shows as he wanted to a full crowd of fans. So he could do 5-7 shows a week. And if I did that, or you guys or whatever, people that are veterans, I could do that too. I could do two minutes. Well, at the end of a year, you got an HBO special, which is what he did. He ended up doing 25 or something.
Right.
Because 2 minutes a week ends up being an hour at the end of the year. So anyways, but my point was, even those guys have to work it out, have to figure it out. And just to give you in further confidence, if you're starting, I remember doing clubs in New York, showcasing and trying to figure out, and Jerry Seinfeld came in once. And he was working out material. This was before his TV show. Okay. It must have been early 90s. I think he was with Mario Joyner, if you remember him. He used to be on MTV as a VJ.
A VJ, yep.
And he came on, I think it was Catch a Rising Star or Dangerfield. One of those two places. I don't even know if they're still there in New York, in the city. But he came in and did a set, and he bombed. Now, it might have only been 5 or 6 or 8 people in the crowd. That's how it is sometimes. Yeah. In clubs in general, but in New York especially, it could be you get there at the time when there's only 8 people there or whatever. But he bombed, and of course, Joyner was laughing at him because he was eating it. And of course, the only thing left for a comic to laugh at when you've done it this many years is when another comic's bombing. That's the only fun, the only fun you have left.
That's true.
So he was bombed. But it helped me go, oh my gosh, here's a guy that's done 10 Tonight shows. He's still got to work it out, and he right. So it made me go, okay, it's not me. It's not personal. Everybody has to figure this out a step at a time. So anyway,
no, it's great.
That's how the game works.
That's exactly. I mean, every single nugget you just dropped, bro, is appreciated because it's exactly what we try to preach to the guys that are here too as well. Giving them, we do Laugh Sabbath on Sunday night open mic, and they come in and they want to just go all in with their list, and it's like, look, get a tight 5, get a really tight 5, get comfortable with the set so that you know how to be able to transition from a tight 5 to another tight 5.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to teach them to try to find a voice or try to find a way to be able to say your jokes confidently.
Well, let me give you a little thought then on that.
Yeah.
Because I remember Bill Cayley. Was it Bill Cayley, I think? Or was it Jim Kelly? I forgot his name. It's been so long. But he was the guy that used to book the Tonight Show when Johnny was on.
Okay.
And he would come in. So when he came in the room, I'm like, oh, it's the guy that could book you on Tonight Show. But I remember reading about him talking about, he said it takes about 10 years to find your voice. And I had Bobby been in it 4 or 5 years at the time, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I thought I was supposed to have this nailed by now. And it seemed like 10 years. Does it really take that long? But it really does, because what you usually start out is mimicking somebody you like, because you don't know what else to do. So you kind of like this guy's style. So you end up finding yourself trying to be Seinfeld or Jim Gaffigan, or because they're funny and you think, I want to be like that. So, and you find it almost trying to do like you're doing what do you call it? The guys that do voices or whatever. And
impressions. Yeah.
Almost like you're doing an impression
of
the guy, because you're not really quite sure how to do it. But what I learned was, and this is an interesting study. I had done comedy for quite a while, but I felt inconsistent. And because of the type of show I did, I was really high energy. When I first started, I had some magic. I did some comedy magic when I first started. So I had this kind of stuff that was a big ending that was visual and interesting. So it was kind of my cheat way to figure out how to get on stage and figure out the monology part.
Yeah.
But I found myself trying to force a voice. Maybe if I wear these kind of crazy pants, I came up with this look. I'm going to have this crazy look because Steve Martin had a white suit, and Richard Lewis had a black.
Dangerfield had the tie. Yeah, I got you.
Look, and you try to find all these superficial elements of it, and then I got to find my voice. So I think I'm going to be like this. No, maybe I'm going to do more like that. Maybe I should add a this, and because you're trying to figure it out, and the two things that changed my career was, one, I would take Post-it notes and I would write down the routine. So if it was like, I'm trying to remember older stuff. You mentioned my first album, Put a Helmet On, like Deer Crossing. I'd write Deer Crossing, and then I'd write Tractors, and then whatever, Bridge Ices, and then I'd say, I don't even remember that routine anymore because I don't do it the same thing. But everything, I wrote it all down, and I set it, and I put on Post-it so I could stick it on my wall.
Okay.
In order that I did my set. And I started looking at it so I could see, okay, well, maybe this would work better over here, and I could peel it off and stick it, and it would help me just quickly make a change. But what was more important and interesting to me was when I started looking at each title, because you know the context of your routine. So if you said, bowling ball, you know what that means, even though I wouldn't. And so I'd start seeing that, and I would say, wait a minute, there's a theme here. What am I really about? And what I'm really about is what happened to America? We used to be able to do this, but now we need a sign because we can't do that. And it's like, matter of fact, what if I put that over here? And then it's like, and what happened to then? And it was hard to get to the United States. People came on boats and they brought kids. You think that was easy? And the kids threw up and they didn't complain. And so it's like, oh, so you're talking about America, the America you remember, and boom, boom. And suddenly I said, oh, that's my voice.
There it is.
This is what matters to me.
There it is.
This is what I care about. Now, I'm a different kind of comic in that I deal with culture issues and I deal with that, and that's fine. I'm more in the Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, those guys that were funny, but they felt like there was something else they wanted to talk about that had a deeper undergirding. Mine was always God, country, anti-political correctness. Those was my themes. Those three things I cared about. So it showed up in my jokes. And so it gave them weight. And when you care about a joke, you will deliver it with authentic passion. And guess what happens? Your actual voice, and that doesn't mean your voice.
I hear you.
Your soul, the thing that you are, will become the DNA of that joke, and it will be yours.
Right.
See, people can't steal they might be able to steal a few of my jokes because I have a couple one-liner things.
Sure.
You know why they can't steal my jokes? Because they can't do it like me.
Right.
Because I deliver it with my thumbprint. This is the only one in the world right there. You can't do it like me. You can try to do a pale comparison, a crappy version. But if you want to be good, do you. Because that's the only thing I can't steal is you.
That's that's good.
And so that will really, so if you start putting your material and you're just starting, you might not have much to choose from. But if you got 30 minutes put it together, look at it, because you get a God's eye view of your routine. Instead of thinking about this bit and that bit and that bit, you get to step back and see the whole routine in one fell swoop and go, why doesn't that joke work? I keep trying. It doesn't. You know why? It's not quite as strong as that joke, but if I take it off my wall and I put it over here where it doesn't have to be as strong, because I'm just kind of using that as a segue over to this joke, that is suddenly that joke that used to kind of be, maybe I'm going to dump it, you breathe new life into it. Maybe this is better as a humorous segue to the stronger joke. I don't have to abandon it. I just had it in the wrong place. That's another thing you have to figure out. Another thing you have to figure out is the remembrance that it's a lot easier to add to a joke that's working than to come up with a new joke. Every time I go to the next premise, I have to re-engage them. I hope you're going to like my trip to the mall. Laugh, 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 laugh. Now, did I tell you about that first time I tried to use chopsticks? Now, each one of these jokes gives them a whole new gear that I'm going into. Now, again, if they're laughing, if they're on your side, if you're 20 minutes in and they've bought into your game, yeah, they're probably going to seamlessly walk into the next room you're about to demonstrate to them. But sometimes if you had an instinct that you thought that line was funny or this was funny, but somehow it doesn't seem to work, maybe it's because it wasn't a joke. It was a piece of another joke that you should add it to and put it in there. And then all you're doing, because once the premise is the hard part. Once the premise has been established and they're laughing about milk, I can't stand milk. Who came up with milk to drink? Are you kidding? Milk. Suddenly think about that. That means I can joke about cows. And what is it with cows? And when did we start eating cows? I don't even understand how a cow, because if we're drinking its milk, shouldn't we have left it alone so we can get more milk? But now we're cutting it up and eating it, and then we can't milk. But then we cook it in milk, which we got rid of because we can't make it anymore. So suddenly all these crazy, silly, stupid things that didn't really have a lot of guts to them. But if I stick them all into the same theme, you got a 5-minute great joke instead of, a 30-second thing here and a 45-second thing here. So, that's one thing I learned from Seinfeld. That dude, milks the crap out of it.
Yeah.
It does.
He just wrings it out. I mean, it's like just when you think I would have quit, he found 3 more minutes. It's like,
Right.
and it taught me, dude, you have been abandoning your jokes way too soon. If they're laughing, if you found a premise that they are digging,
Yeah.
stick with it for a while. Maybe there's
Mm.
10 minutes here. Do 10 minutes. So, anyways, and that's how some of my jokes,
So good.
and again, I can't presume people know my material, but if they knew the put a helmet on routine about coming to America and the covered wagons and put a helmet on and well, now we put Velcro straps on kid shoes and everything. That's like, I think, a probably 7, 8, 10-minute joke. But it was all piecemeal because once I discovered that I wanted to talk about what has happened to America, we're a bunch of wusses. I could find all these little tiny jokes that didn't really have a lot of power on their own. But if I attached them to this giant one theme premise, it became this powerful, oh yeah, you should hear his put a helmet on routine. That one's amazing.
Right.
I added to what was already established. So again, that's just another way to think about it. If you're a brand new comic, seriously, 2 minutes that are working and are really solid are more important than 5 minutes that are kind of weak. Because once you learn what works and it's solid, you can build off of that, and you're probably going to be able to do so much more effectively than having weak joke plus weak joke plus weak. You're never going to get them on your side. So you're going to start getting discouraged. I guess I'm not funny. It's like, no, you tried to do too much too soon. Add that 2 or 3 minutes and rock those things. And then once they're established, this works from one point A to point B. Once you know you've got your 3 tight, then 1 minute in to your next open mic, that's where you try the next little routine you're going to try. Why? 1 minute established, you're funny, they're on your side. Here's where we're going to practice the new one. Oh, it's bombing. Don't matter, because I know that minute 2 works. This will bring them back in height. That's how you build your set.
That's good, man. That is really good.
Brad, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
At what point were you in your career when that piece finally dawned on you and changed things for you so much? How long did it take before you reached that point, before things really clicked for you?
Well, I mean, I couldn't tell you the exact, but I'm going to say it really started gelling for me probably, I would say 8 to 10 years is when I really felt like I was kind of figuring out how to do this. But it reminds me of another thing I was going to say to you. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I ended up headlining fairly quickly because my show was so high energy and I had all these crazy stuff, fire eating, all crazy stuff that I was doing that very few people know about unless they knew me back in those days or saw me on TV, because I was on a lot of the TV shows in the 90s and I did that crazy stuff. But the thing that really occurred to me was what the purpose of a headliner is not you're necessarily funnier than the guys in front of you. You probably are, but not necessarily. There's some great feature acts that are hard to follow. When they hire a headliner, what they're hiring is not that you're necessarily the funniest guy of all time. They're hiring consistency. Can you make this work? I don't care what you do Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Anybody can do Saturday night, 8 o'clock. I'm concerned about Tuesday night with 15 people in the crowd that came out and there's no energy and you got to do all the work, that they can leave and go, that was a good show. I'm going to tell my friends to go see it. That's what they're paying a headliner to do. Is no matter what's in the crowd, you get whatever's there, you get it. Okay. So that was you got to be able to be self-reflective. It's not easy. But what I realize about myself is I'm funny, but I'm not consistent. And I find, and one of the things, for one reason, I felt like I have to keep writing. I have to keep writing. So I had notebooks of ideas, and I was always working them out and everything because that was fun for me. But I hadn't realized that it's more important to have a perfect set of 45, even if you never change it. But it always rocks because they will always hire you because you will always do the job. Okay. And there are comics that had did the same act over, and people didn't care. They came back. See, I would think, oh, they're not going to come back and see the same set. And then I would think the waitresses. I got to impress the waitresses because they're going to say, I don't like him. But if I get the waitresses to laugh and they see this guy's always got new stuff, they're going to say a good thing to me about this. So I'm thinking business, right?
Yep.
And finally, I said, nope. You've got a lot of funny bits, but you haven't settled on that set, that perfect 45-minute closing set that you can film and say, here's my album. That's what you need if you want to really know you've kind of got it to the headliner stage.
Okay.
So I took my note thing I was telling you about, and I looked at all my material, and I chose what I was going to do. I chose my theme. I knew what I was going to call it, put a helmet on. I knew what I wanted to do, and I decided I'm going to do the same set for 45 minutes until it's perfect. And I didn't do that when I first started. I was just working out new material. So probably for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I just did the same set. And that set about 3 years into it, I finally filmed it. And that set became Put a Helmet On, which is the album you watched and said, holy crap, you can, this, I didn't know. Okay, you can be funny.
That's crazy.
Holy smoke, because I did the work. So
right.
What I'm saying is, that was crucial to me realizing. And you know what happened? After I did that and I started working Promise Keepers, they started bringing me in. I was working in front of 10,000 guys and I was doing my stuff and they were loving me. I'm great. And suddenly they brought me back the next year and I go, oh my gosh, I'm going to need a new set. Now I had material, but I didn't have time to work out the material day after day after day, like when I was in comedy clubs. And so I did it the best I could with the shows I had, and I filmed them. And next thing you know, Conservative Unleash is there. And then I tried to do the next material but I didn't. And it was called Tolerate This. And then I did another set and I tried to do my best, and it was called The Worstification. And then I did another set, and it was the set that I wanted to do that I felt was the first time I was going to be more about my faith, and that was called God's Comic. Next show, and that was the only one I did. It was more like I really want to just do this. And then my next album, which I shot in Indiana, up in Fort Wayne, which is out now, but it was called it's called Unapologetical, and that's my latest album. So that's my 6th album. None of the albums I have done. And maybe you're familiar with the other ones, and maybe you liked them. There's some funny routines on all of them, and I like them all. They all have moments that I'm enjoying, I'm proud of. But if somebody put my feet to the fire and said, what's your favorite album? I would have to say Put a Helmet On. Not because I necessarily think it was the best or that I had the best material.
Yeah.
But it was the one set that I worked in clubs until I felt like I nailed it. And it's the only one that I felt like I'll go up against anybody with this set. This rocks.
That was the one that had that labor of love. I mean, you had so much invested in it.
Yeah.
That you're just like, this right here is the one that just keeps. And that's the thing, is that was the first one that I got, that I was introduced to. So it impacted me. And so that shows you right there the strength and how important it is when you can pour yourself, and it's belief, like every single second of that, you can believe, dude, no matter what you did on stage, I 100% believe that it was not, made up or fluff. It was just so you, it was so real and natural.
That's exactly right. I didn't want any wasted material. I wanted every bit to have its own power, its own strength. And the proof is in the pudding, because that's, I mean, that's another story. And I'm actually going to run out of time here because I have to do another thing at 7 my time, so I'll have to leave. But so I can't necessarily go into the whole backstory. But put a helmet on that you saw, that you were influenced by, that I learned in nightclubs, okay, and worked it out there, was shot at Thomas Road Baptist Church in Lynchburg, Virginia, with Jerry Falwell Sr. in the front row with his wife. And he told me on Super Bowl Sunday night, 2003, when I shot that, or 2, when I shot that, and I got there, and it was 5 o'clock at night, Super Bowl being like 2 hours, and he's having me do so. Everything felt wrong. Like, God, this can't be. You want me to introduce? And I said, God, this is your thing. You want me to do this? I'm going to do it. And and I'm getting there, and he said, now listen, about 40 minutes into your set, I need you to stop so I can go up and do an offering. What? Okay, and then you come back and finish your set.
Oh, bro! Wow.
Yeah, so I was 45 into the put.
I mean,
here it comes. Now we're going to pass the plate. You would accept Jesus as your Savior. Then I come back and say, "Hey, whoa, that's fun." Well, did you notice?
No, that's crazy.
It was all edited in and put together. And that's cool. It was my introduction into the Christian world, the evangelical world, because God said, you already got the charismatics, they're gonna love you. You already got Rick Warrens and Saddlebacks and those guys, they'll accept. You need the Southern Baptists to say, because we're, like you said, and maybe we can talk about it again someday when we have time, but I was one of the first ones in this world, in the Christian comedy world. Not the first, but one of the first, and certainly, I will attest, the first edgy Christian comic. And so that had to be God's calling. He had to decide, I'm going to use you in a way that you're never going to imagine. When I was in comedy clubs, I was not thinking, I'll bet you God's going to bring me into ministry and this stuff is going to be used in the future in America as a new flavor. There's no way. And I wouldn't have, and ran from that calling for many years until finally God said, I gave you this thing for my use. You're going to spend it on yourself. When I give you a gift and you spend it on yourself, you end up on the beach in whale vomit. And you go, maybe I better head to Nineveh.
Yeah.
Off I went on my calling. And so this many years later, and everything else I ever wanted to do that I thought I was sacrificing for God, film and everything. And I moved from California where the film is and sitcoms are. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. This is years ago before it was popular. And because I figured there's Christian agents, I guess they're going to help me in this world. And I figured, I guess there goes my film career. And I left everything to go seek what God was calling me to do. And 6 albums later, 12 movies later, 2 documentaries, 2 books. Actually, a new book is going to come out this December, Being a Christian Without Being an Idiot.
Okay.
And so all of these crazy things that God had in store for me, and we're still just getting started. Was because I did what he told me to do. And that's another story. Maybe we'll come on and do it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the story of Put a Helmet On and how it kind of launched me and
wow, man,
put me in that position in the Christian comedy world as to there's a whole nother flavor this can come in. And after that happened, next thing you know, you suddenly had the opportunity for there to be a Tim Hawkins. Suddenly there's an opportunity for there to be a John Christ who kind of went sideways. There was an opportunity for Michael Jr. And Michael Joyner and all of these guys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they needed me. They're talented folks. But God had me bust those doors down to say, listen, Christianity and comedy doesn't have to be a cookie cutter. It can look like this and still be authentic.
That's it.
Right.
So that's what I got, and that's what I'm still doing. So, hey, man, I'd like to come to your club, man. Let's do
Man.
it sometime.
Hey, I just want to clarify when you come to the club, because we're going to work it out.
Yes.
So when we come to the club, we can stop you halfway through your set and take an offering. Is that what you said?
Listen, that's really what I'm shooting for. It really would be a soft spot in my heart. Just to remind me of back in the day with Jerry.
Right. We got to humble
But no,
you
listen,
sometimes.
I will say this, and I'm sorry, I do have to run, but
Sure.
I will say this. I would be happy to do your club, because, and this is the one thing I miss from comedy clubs, because I usually do churches now and conventions or fundraise, whatever, and they're all wonderful, and I'm glad to do them. But the one thing I miss from comedy clubs is they didn't care what you said or what you did. Just be funny. And what I mean by that is, because I didn't curse in comedy clubs. I didn't do it. Already told you that. So I don't mean get away with raunchy.
Yeah.
What I mean was I didn't have to worry or take that extra beat. Oh, are they not going to get this because they're Christians?
Right.
I didn't have to filter it. I could be creative, and
Right.
and that energy that only a comedy club, a neutral venue, gives you, that you don't have to worry about, because in a church they feel like you're on this guy's pulpit. We worship God here, so there's always this line thing that maybe you can't quite say this or say that. In a club, I could be free. I mean, what you guys don't know, if you never see me live, is, I mean, I can do 30 minutes of improv with the crowd.
Come on, man.
Never seen it, because you don't film that, you film your material. So that's the way I do it. And if I get onto a crowd like yours and it's 200, I don't know what you see, and they're tight and they're right on top of me, like the clubs, which I love, I might do 30 minutes of just talking to the crowd and just rap it. And I walk into the crowd and I stand up on chairs. And that's why a lot of people, I guess, said I was like Robin Williams. Wasn't trying to emulate him, but I had that kind of energy that you don't see on the DVD.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Well, Brad, we definitely are going to work out getting you to the club, and we thank you so much for taking time to sit down. You have given us a master's class in the business of comedy and putting together a great set, and I appreciate your transparency and just sharing that wisdom with us and with the people that will listen and watch this for future dates coming up. So thank you so much for your time. I know you got to go, but we want to thank you for being a part of our family now.
No, it's my pleasure, and I'm always glad to do that. I mean, you know, I didn't have anybody really walking me through this when I was starting, so I know what it's like to kind of feel like I want to do this and I'm going to do it, but I don't know what I'm doing. So any help you can get from somebody that's been there, man, I know I appreciate it if somebody does that for me. So I certainly am grateful I'm able to do it. So God bless you guys. Keep it up. And like I said, I would, you know, let's have some special event weekend and let's have some fun. And I'll be down, man.
Man, let's make it happen. Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate it, man.
Take care.
Thanks, Brad.
Woo!
Man, I'm telling you.
Yo.
That was like hooking up to the fire hose for a little drink. You know, I'm gonna take a sip of. Ooh, I was just. There were times I was like, I wanted to add a question, but I was like, let him go. It's just he's got it.
It was one of those moments, right, where you just go, you know what? The stage is yours, homie, because he has so much insight to this field. And the great thing about it is the fact that we're able to get insight from someone on this side, because there's two sides that we work with here at Gutties. We work with people that have never done, a church setting or any kind of, Christian type setting. And they don't understand what Christian or just clean comedy in general. And then you got on the other side, you got comics like, Brad talking about, and even Bone had said it too, the fact that we have a neutral place. Man, I'm telling you, it's really cool to see how we're bringing both worlds together. And it's such a blessing to be able to meet, both sides of the coin, bro. This was, like you said, a masterclass, bro. I was stoked because, again, I saw his special, and that gave me so much confidence, because it's like, man, if he can do that, I know I can do that. I knew that there was people like me that was writing, clean at the time, and that had an upbringing of church upbringing, but yet didn't want to be like too churchy and then too this. Like I was right here, and this is just really cool to be able to connect with Brad like that, man. And so I'm glad that he took time to hang with us, man. That was just stellar.
Yeah, and for him to just share the insights of everything that he gave out.
Yeah.
It really flowed from the passion that he has for the craft of comedy. You know, he's one of these guys, and I remember he attended a Christian Comedy Association conference. He hasn't been to many, maybe only that one, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But he kind of came in and he laid it out pretty hard for people that, if all you do is the pampered shows in the church,
yeah,
you may not you may not know the depth of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been forced into those situations where you really have to be better and you have to go beyond what you're comfortable with, get out of your comfort zone and do all that. And that bit of wisdom that he shared, there were a number of people that were offended by it. I was cheering him on because I was agreeing with him that it's so easy to feel like you're just getting in your comfort zone. I'm going to stay there. And there are, it's on the flip side of that when you have comics that we talk to all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I can't work clean because, it limits me. And I'm like, it doesn't limit you. The reason you're saying that is it's going to push you to really focus on stuff.
We were like, we know exactly. Say it, bro, because this is a veteran now in the game. Yes, on one side, you could think that he's just doing it for. It's actually he's been in the game for a good minute. And he's been able to just travel and do this. This is his life, his career, and you can't separate him just because he's a Christian comic or a clean comedian. You know what I mean? You can't separate him from the list of different comics. You can't, because the success of it is a proof that he put in work and he made it work. And who's to say what standard is which? You know what I mean? It's like you can't just basically say, oh, well, since you didn't do New York or blah, 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 you're not this, you're not that. Comedy across the board is an art form. And wherever you go and whatever you do, whether you hit, TV and go live or not, you're in the game and you're doing the art, you're doing the craft, and you're doing it. Man, that's all that, in my opinion, of course, but I just feel like that's all that really matters. And he hit it on the, bro, to say that a club, man, he was like, to be able to create in a club. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Is giving you guys the opportunity to create without any kind of expectations, man. Like, because if you go to a certain place, they're gonna expect you to, you got to do this type of material. Be creative, but yet in a place where it can thrive and not just like low hanging fruit is out the window. Just being creative is so cool to see. Yeah. And I'm glad that you heard it here, bro, on the Pops and The Rican show. He wants to come to Gutty's Comedy Club, so we're gonna make it happen. So stay tuned. We're gonna make it happen.
Hey, I want to make sure and mention that later this week, we have another great comic coming in for a live Pops and The Rican show on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Some of you may have seen him at the club because he was at Gutty's for our grand opening.
Yes, he was.
The first grand opening, not the re-grand opening.
Re-grand opening. Right.
Yeah. When we reopened after the COVID Rona scare.
We have to. Well, we say it like comedian Ryan May said. He said, "Club so nice, we had to open it twice."
Well, that's true. So, but Wednesday night we've got Dave the King Wilson who'll be joining us here on the show, and and Dave's story is way different than Brad's. And but he brings that history of people that he's worked with that have that helped him hone his chops and do this, and the thing that resonates with me and hopefully with you is not only is he a comic that's been in the game for a while, but he's a comic who also ran his own comedy club for 15 years. He had one-liners here in Greenwood. He kind of set the stage for us when we brought Gutties in, and so he was our first comic to headline there, and so quite honestly, he's a good friend of mine, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show so we can just visit with him as well. And I wanted to mention the fact that Wednesday night, 7:00 Eastern, Dave will be joining us again. So if you got some great stuff out of today's show, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell right beside subscribe so that you get notified of all of the shows that are coming up. Yeah. And if you got some great stuff out of this, please hit the thumbs up button because if it's on Facebook, you can hit the thumbs up. If it's on YouTube, please definitely hit it because that helps us. It helps us move up in all of the. So we appreciate you being part of what we've got going on here with Gutties TV. Yeah. And we want to make sure you keep following us and you keep coming in. And like I say, this coming Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dave the King Wilson will be joining us for another great night here on the Pops and the Rican Show.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about what's happening, bro. We're finally getting things going. So if you don't know yet and you're not up with what's going on, I'm telling you now, you need to subscribe to Gutties Comedy Club. We also have a hashtag going out right now just to make things more tighter and close knit with everybody that's following Gutties. We want you to, every time you post, if you've ever been to Gutties Comedy Club and you love Gutties, just hashtag go to Gutties. Let everybody know that this is what we're all about. You want to come visit us? We love to connect with the community, connect with those who've never been to a club. That's clean, family friendly. Make sure you like, subscribe us, and follow us. Go to hashtag go to Gutties is one. The other thing is as well
down there in the corner. You see that there's something down there in the corner that is it says download our app.
That's right. The next thing you want to do is you want to download our mobile app too as well. Our mobile app has every single thing that you want to know about Gutties, from the tickets that you want to download to as well to pick up. You can definitely pick up tickets. If you want to shop at our store, you can shop at a store. You can come to the club and buy some merch too as well. We got hats, we got shirts, we got everything you need to be able to rock Gutties Comedy Club and support as well.
We even have masks with Gutties logo on them now. So
if you're looking to get some masks done, or at least one or two for the fam, just so that you're safe in this time right now that we're living in, you can pick up one as well. We got these tubies that are coming in. It's just like a full mask as well. So we'd like to make sure that you're taken care of, and we'd like to make sure that everybody is rocking the same thing. Rocking Gutties Comedy Club and letting everybody know that we're out here too as well. So you can get all of that. Make sure you download our mobile app and have fun doing that, because you can watch Pops and the Rican Show. You can also watch quarantine comedy that we got out there, and be on the lookout for Gutty Bits. Gutty Bits is basically going to be all the comics that we've been able to bring to the club. We can bring these small short clips to make you laugh while you're hanging out at home. And if you're quarantined, you can check us out online too as well. Or just if you want something to share and say, hey, check this out. Gutties Comedy Club is doing Gutty Bits. Be on the lookout for that as well. So a lot of cool, fun stuff going on, man, that I'm excited that we're able to just get back on swing.
And please subscribe, hit that bell, like us, do all that stuff for Steve's sake, at least, because he has to work with this old man that keeps doing stuff like where all of a sudden, he's got fingers
doing all
in.
This stuff.
So
and
he's got to deal with me. So be kind to Steve. Hashtag go to Gutties. Hashtag be kind to Steve. No. Hey, it's been a great time, and I'm looking forward to Wednesday night. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm still Pops.
Yep, and I'm the Rican.
And this has been the Pops and the Rican Show. All right, deuces.
Pops and The Rican.
Pops and the Rican. Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and The Rican. The Pops and The Rican. What? The Pops and The Rican.
Look at the top of his head. Look at his head.
Pops and The Rican.